What's up, guys? This is your girl Mo Lu, creator and host of the Safe Space, a mental health podcast. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in thus far to the previous episodes and now this one. In this episode, you're going to hear an interview that myself and my girl Nicole had with Chris and Hafeez from the Roomates Podcast. It was a dope interview. I think for us, it's definitely important to just get men involved in the conversation and really just hearing their perspectives as it pertains to mental health. And that's the reason why I really wanted to have Chris and Hafeez join in. And it was great to just talk to them, to kind of get to know them a little bit. And yeah, I think you guys are going to love it and enjoy it. Please let me know your thoughts after you guys hear it. And yeah, tune in.
Yo.
Hey. I was really about to be like, but I was like, you're not from New York. That's so bad.
What's going on?
What's up?
Nothing much. How you guys?
Chilling.
Good?
We just chilling, yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great. I'm excited.
Hey, I have a quick random question for you guys. An honest question.
Sure.
Shoot.
How often do you guys watch our show?
Honestly, we're going to be very blunt.
Well,
no, this is Nicole speaking. As of Mo introducing me to your channel, I've watched several videos and, read up on you guys. And that was as of 2 weeks ago?
right, because I recently introduced Nicole to you guys when I was like, yo, like, I think I want to try to get a collaboration going or get you guys on the podcast. But I've been pretty, I think probably because for me, the first video that I saw of you guys that I guess it was like a viral video, it was the one with, I feel like it might have been the one with Charlemagne, but I feel like I've seen videos of you guys before that. But after that was when I started following up with you guys more consistently and watching your, more so Instagram, because I've been, Instagram is like YouTube. Like I've recently made my YouTube channel, so then I'm on YouTube more. But it was more so just looking at your clips on Instagram, looking at your page, seeing what, what's new. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, I had kind of a feeling that you guys weren't as familiar with our content.
Mhm.
So now I kind of understand what's going on. Cool. All right, this makes a lot more sense. Thank you for clarifying.
No problem.
No problem. Do you guys have any questions, thoughts, comments? Before we get into this?
We're good. We're ready to go. Sure.
All right, cool.
Awesome. So once again, thank you guys so much for your time and being able to do this redo. I hope everybody's well fed and rested and ready to go. We definitely do appreciate it. Just really quickly, just a quick heads up. We're going to be repeating like some of the questions that we had from last night, but definitely it's going to be a different approach because like you just said, we found that our approach in conversation might have been just a little strained because we didn't know as much. So definitely today we reviewed a lot and it's going to be different. But specifically we will be speaking on mental health, especially from the male perspective. And there will be a question sooner or later, especially from your narratives as, African-American males. But overall, that's just, just the subject matter for tonight.
Right.
Cool?
Yeah. Coolio.
Okay, cool. All right, so, yeah, I guess we could just start off, because I feel like yesterday, too, we didn't really kind of get a proper intro for you guys to introduce yourselves, and then, yeah, kind of just, even though we know who you are, but just kind of, if you guys can just introduce yourselves individually, and then introduce yourselves as, like, the roommates, and, like, what you guys do, who you are as people. So, yeah.
Okay. My name is Christopher Bezos. I am from the city of Houston, the greatest city in the world.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
I said what I said. Fun fact about me, I used to be prom king. Greatest accomplishment of my life so far.
Dope.
Went to the greatest University of Houston, graduated in 2016 with a degree in finance with a concentration in financial planning. And now I am safety manager of my dad's company. And I am a part of the Roomates Podcast as a co-host, CFO, and conflict mediator.
Dope.
And here's what
I have a quick question. So were you always good with numbers?
Was I always good with numbers? Actually, to be honest with you, math was was something where I can do best. I feel like I was average in every subject, but math is a formula. You can easily do it.
Definitely.
I just remember chemistry, physics, all that, and English. I like to grab all that before stuff. Math was the easiest for me to learn. I wouldn't say I was always sensational with numbers, but I could do it.
Got you.
Awesome.
Yeah, my name is Hafeez. I am the other half of the Roomates Podcast from Atlanta. Moved to Houston, and it's always a great experience to learn and grow from the show and to continuously learn more about life and grow as a person. So, yes, sir.
Dope. Cool. Well, thank you guys. My name is Monique, short for Mo. My name that I usually put out there on my podcast and social media is Molu, which is an abbreviation of the beginning of my first name and last name. And I am the creator and host of the Safe Space, a mental health podcast. And yeah, I'm from Queens, New York, born and raised, and I'm Jamaican and Haitian. My mother's from Jamaica, my father's from Haiti, but yeah, and I'm a recent graduate. I graduated last year from SUNY College out of Westbury with my bachelor's of arts in psychology and a minor in media and communications. And yes, I have a strong desire and passion to bring awareness and conversation and light onto mental health. Yeah, because I just feel like it's important and it's not talked about enough. I feel like you can never talk about mental health too much because it's always something, that will be going on in the lives of humans. And so, yeah, that's why I do what I do. Yeah, I'll hand it over to Nicole.
I. So I am Nicole. Brooklyn, the best city in the world. Rep it till the day I die. Also graduated CUNY Brooklyn College. You see, that's how much I loved Brooklyn. I went back to get my degree from my city. Yes, my bachelor's in health and nutrition sciences and minor in bio. I'm like, what else am I missing? Oh, I'm also Jamaican and Haitian. And the mix up Bagwan.
Yeah, we
ting
have that.
Yeah. Pretty much. Also, definitely, truly inspired by mental health, and just reaching out and helping people. Definitely an advocate for it and others who are dealing with issues and helping them and stuff. So, pretty much, that's it.
All right. Cool.
Lovely.
Yeah, so I guess we can jump right into it. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or questions before we start.
No, I think we're just both excited and ready to roll.
Okay, cool. All right, so I just wanted to start off with kind of you guys talking about yourselves a little bit, right? And just about your upbringing, because I feel like, as people, we start off as babies and then children, and then that kind of formulates who we are, right? Eventually, childhood stuff. And so I wanted you guys to just start off talking about yourself and your upbringing, and if they're from your childhood and upbringing, do you feel like your childhood had a dramatic effect on your mental health? A little bit or none at all, or just, I guess,
mixture.
Right.
Yeah, so I was raised by two Nigerian Americans. Well, no, sorry, two Nigerians who immigrated to the United States.
I love Nigerians.
Had my mother and my father in my entire life, and had a brother and a sister. So I had a very unique experience living in America. My dad was exceptional. So I had a lot of support from both my parents, and always was able to make some really awesome, amazing friends no matter where I went. So had a lot of support growing up and a lot of love and affection, which really contributed to a lot of great things in my life.
Got you. That's dope.
For me, very similar, but yet different. I definitely had both of my parents throughout my life with the older sister. In my household, I felt like, as a child, I had everything I needed, and I could talk about certain things if I wanted to. Was never really told I couldn't express myself, but it was harder to talk to my father than my mother, just because he wasn't home a lot, to be at work. So that's why I had a very unique childhood as well, different from most African American males.
Got you.
Cool.
What about you?
So, well, for me, yeah, I've had both my parents in my household, which, funny story, they got married and, they remarried twice themselves, women of themselves. That's why I say Caribbean people they're crazy. But, she was so nice he had to marry her twice. He couldn't leave her alone. But definitely in a Caribbean household, because I'm basically second generation, and they're definitely from their respective islands, very strongly. I can also say I've always had everything that I needed. Definitely no family dynamic is perfect. And I can say one parent was stricter than the other and one was more lenient. And I feel like that's just based more so on their personalities, not necessarily their cultures. Discipline was definitely a thing. Like, your education was most important, certain ideals that they kept towards. But overall, I made it.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. And I guess for me, I think definitely my childhood has had a major effect on my mental health. I am a product of, like I said initially, that two Caribbean parents, and so they're both immigrants. They both came here from America, and so they were together. They had me, and then they never married, and then shortly after they had me, they went their separate ways, right? And so I was raised by a single parent. My father wasn't in my life growing up. Like, he probably was there until maybe around 3 or 4, and then afterwards he kind of just veered off. And so I was raised by a single parent, and I have an older brother, so we kind of we grew up as like crazy kids from New York. I mean, we was just out here. I mean, not out here, but we were good. We were good kids. Like, we came out great. I mean, I played sports. I was very like, similar to, I think, what Hafeez said, like, I made friends, everywhere I went, in church. I, was in dance school. Like, my mom tried to put me in everything. Like, she was like a super mom. So, she, I feel like overall, like, I was good because she was such a, great parent. She was like two in one. So, so.
It definitely does affect you, though.
For sure.
Especially the dynamics of what I've noticed is the relationships that they've also had with their parents in their respective countries. It definitely does trickle down, the line. It's definitely something that is not like, okay, well, they say we're gonna be different, but it's like, you still whooping me the same way your mom was whooping you. Like, this ain't that different.
Well, actually, no, I didn't have, like, my mom definitely told me stories about her getting beat pretty crazy.
It is what it is.
I didn't have that experience. My mom, my mom didn't really beat me. Like, my mom is very much so, like, I could talk to her. It was, like, open, which I feel like
that's nice.
She created that. It's like, what the stereotype is around, Caribbeans is that there's no talking. It's like no tolerance. But she was very much so able to, when something was wrong, if I was, struggling with something, going through something, even with, like, little boyfriends growing up, even though, like, I was fearful,
right.
I still went to her because she's the only person that I got. So, and she, made it comfortable for me to be able to kind of, have the conversation, because, she would rather, educate me and talk to me about it than, me kind of wander off and be lost. Right. So, yeah.
So I have a question for Hafeez. You said for Nigerian parents. Now, in my experience with my Nigerian friends, I find that the mother more so is a little more lenient and kinder, and the father is more strict and less expressive. Did you find that was also your personal experience, or it was just completely different?
Mine was the complete opposite. My dad is Hall of Fame father. Like, he's literally the complete opposite of whatever Nigerian caricature that most people think about. He is the complete opposite. His experience shaped him to be a very unique man. So, yeah, my dad was nothing like that.
Awesome.
Dope.
That's great to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess, yeah. Moving on. Since the start of your channel, the Roomates Podcast, how has your viewpoint changed about mental health?
Like, what was it initially first starting out, and present day, thoughts?
Initially for me, I really never heard of mental health, or I guess the lookout for, anxiety or depression. Never something that really just was on my mind, either growing up, even in high school, in college. So I feel like the whole mental wave happened kind of recently anyway, probably within the past 2 or 3 years. So us having a conversation, talking about it since doing the podcast, has made me more aware of mental health and what kind of anxieties I have, or things like, am I depressed? Do I have suicidal thoughts? Do I need to check up on my friends? Look at signs for all of those things.
Yeah.
So I feel like social media and our culture today has made more aware of mental health. Mm-hmm. And then also the podcast gave me a space to talk about mental health, and then gave us an opportunity to make a short film called Help, which we released last year, about mental health. So it was something that is like, okay, now I understand, okay, how can I move differently now as an adult?
Gotcha. Cool. Oh yeah, Hafeez? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the conversation began with people talking about mental health being a big issue in the Black community, being something that Black people deal with in silence, and an issue that was mainly plaguing our community. And I was a proponent of that, and I would communicate that at times. And then the more I did research and the more I heard stories, I realized that mental health affected everybody. If you look at some of the demographics for suicide, you look at some of the demographics for, depression and anxiety. Like, it's not like Black people are 95% of the people being diagnosed with these illnesses. That within each culture in America, there's different individuals who deal with it differently. I think my conversation changed from being so pro-counselor. I'm not as pro-counselor as I was in the past.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes people view counseling and therapy as like salvation in a sense, and like the silver bullet to their problems when it's not. While talking to somebody is a tool, it is only a tool to deal with stuff, and there's a lot of other factors that go into it. So so as time progressed, went from a very shallow understanding of it to a more complex, nuanced perspective in regards to how to navigate and deal with it and to provide tangible solutions to people.
Gotcha.
Definitely.
That's cool. I like that. What about you?
Yeah, no, initially, especially growing up, it was something that it was just not spoken about. Or if you did have an issue, it was just like, oh, get over it. Like, you're being sensitive. And being that...
Do you feel like you kind of took on that?
Yeah, I did. For a long time, I did. It was just like, I'm going to be a thug. Just, duke it out and just not speak about it. But, speaking more to, just my different peers and different friends that I've had from all walks of life, all, ages and races and things, I noticed that it was definitely an issue in and of itself amongst different communities, because I've definitely had friends who've just like come over from Asia and they would be like, there are certain things you just don't talk about, and they just have high suicide rates, or different friends like from Russia and other like places. So I definitely know it's a much bigger issue than in the Black community, but I also know that within the Black community, it's also a large issue. So I voice both sides, but, mainly I speak from my perspective as, an African American or Caribbean African American woman.
Right.
With those issues.
Yep. Yeah. I think, for me, my viewpoint definitely has changed. Because when I was younger and growing up, to me, what I thought about, like, literally when I thought about mental health, or like it initially the ideal in my mind was somebody who is in a psych ward or just like in a straitjacket, and people who are crazy, right? And so that was just because that was what my friends would say, and that was like, what everyone,
everyone has a different definition of crazy,
right?
So it's like,
right. And I just feel like when talking about mental health or talking about seeking out help for mental health, like, crazy shouldn't even be in the category, but it's like, I mean, that comes with like maturity and getting older, and obviously my viewpoint has changed because I study psychology, and I was like, no, I want to pursue this field, even though at first I was very much so like, no, like, people, like, and so it was definitely ignorant. It was an ignorant mindset, and it was just like, just being childish as a young person growing up and hearing everybody say like, like, people who go to psychiatrists or people who, have like mental breakdowns and stuff end up in psych wards. So, I think my viewpoint definitely changed. Now I feel like mental health is something that, like, I feel like it should just be normalized. I feel like it's like, I feel like as of late, kind of like what Chris was saying, as of late, it's like a thing where, it's like a hot topic now. So, before it was very like taboo, and like people didn't even really talk about it like that, but now it's like a hot topic. So I feel like there is less stigma around, mental health, than in previous years. But I think, definitely, my viewpoint is just like how people talk about their physical health when they're not feeling well, they gotta go to the doctor, they got high blood pressure, they got diabetes, whatever the case may be, they gotta see their physician. It should just be a normal thing of like, yeah, I'm feeling sad today, or I was like upset about something, like, if somebody is going to therapy or seeking out, a mental health professional for something they're dealing with, it should just be something that is freely able to be talked about without, people kind of giving a side eye or a second look or being like, why, or whatever. It should just be a thing where people feel free to talk about and not be looked at as crazy, or like whatever the stereotypical viewpoint people get in their minds when they think of whatever, mental health, right? So, yeah.
And moving right along. So, you guys did mention your film. Can you talk about the film that you guys created on mental health? And what was your reasoning behind creating it?
So I want to say it was around May 2018 we created the film, and it's one of them things where we kind of feel like it's been not just men but people in general go around life and really have that demon, or not, I wouldn't say demon, but that voice inside of them that always kind of just plague their mind.
Right.
So you got the voice in your head, the doubts, the lies that people always remember, like, you know, you'll never be good enough, you're always a screw up, you know, you're whatever, you're still living at home, et cetera, all these bad things that creeps up in people's head, and they don't know how to deal with it. And it's one of the things where we kind of just structure the film, different scenarios where the guy seems fine, he seems cool, he seems like he's okay, he's living a dream life, got an apartment, got a car, you know, he got women, he got all these things that, you know, people want, but when he's alone by himself, you know, his mind, you know, speaks to him, and he has this other, you know, evil person in his mind that's talking to him, and really just having that effect on him, and, you know, making him suicidal thoughts and things like that. So we kind of want to show that message that, like, you got to check on your friend, show that message of, you know, if you need help, you got to seek it. And that's one of the main things that we try to focus on. You know, we experienced some of that in our lives, so we wanted to make sure we can portray that in the film.
That's dope.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's super dope. And I haven't seen the film yet, but I definitely will watch it because it sounds very, very inspirational. It's like dope. I feel like more of it needs to happen. Like, I know, like, there's a short film that was created by Kofi Siriboe, and yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it was like, I watched it and I was like moved, and I was like, this is fire. So I definitely will be you know, watching it. If y'all got the link.
Yeah, we have it on our YouTube channel, and with the director's cut at the end.
Got it.
So it'll be, just, if you want to check it out, it's all good.
Awesome.
Cool. So, yeah. During your interview with Charlamagne, because that interview was like one of the ones that kind of, you know, it drew me to you guys. That was probably the first, you know, video that I've seen of you guys. You guys touched on the stigma of mental health. More so, I think probably Charlamagne was talking about it in the Black community, as well as vulnerability versus transparency, right? And I know Charlamagne mentioned that it's easy for him to be transparent and talk about, just talk in general, but vulnerability, and as far as actually talking about how something made him feel, is the part that is a little bit more difficult, and I'm sure probably difficult for many other people. So I guess I just wanted to ask you guys, how adequately do you feel like you're able to express how you feel?
Yeah, I think Charlamagne and I just look differently. I didn't sell drugs, so, you know, so I wasn't in that kind of hyper masculine world, so to speak. So I don't know. Like I said, there was always a sense of ability to communicate stuff with people. I've always had a little different group of friends. So I don't mean, if you watched our show, a lot of people will notice that, you know, we always doing that. That's one thing that people love about our show is the vulnerability of our show. So we don't have an issue doing that. We've been doing that from the very beginning.
Gotcha. Cool. And Chris, do you feel similar?
I think for me, I became really, I feel like I was transparent, you know, growing up. And then when I got to college and knew the importance of vulnerability to really grow as a man, not only spiritually, but just character-wise, I knew I had to, you know, get the monkey off my back, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of reason why I got those like muscles of vulnerability and can do it so freely on our show because I've been doing it since sophomore year of college and been doing it with a group of guys and learning and being discipled and opening my heart to to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the whole reason why I started being vulnerable rather than transparent, or both.
Definitely.
Got you. What about you, Cole? Do you feel like you had any issues with transparency versus vulnerability? I mean, as women, I feel like we're naturally more, vulnerable. But I mean, that's not always the case.
Not necessarily.
Right.
Yeah.
So
no.
I just wanted to ask you what you think.
I feel like, yeah, definitely I could be transparent, but it was the vulnerability part of it that it was hard for me, especially being introverted.
Yeah. But no, should I wait them call back, or did their phone die?
I don't know. Maybe it lost.
Oh God.
You have reached the voicemail
Their phone died.
Or maybe they're trying to call back.
It's all right. You can keep talking though, because then either way.
Yeah. Yeah, it was harder for me to be vulnerable because it was kind of like.
Hello.
Yo, I think the call dropped.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I was like, oh, your phone died. My initial thought was like, okay, their phone died, but so it's fine. All right, so yeah, Cole. So we could jump back into it. Cole, so you were saying, yeah, vulnerability versus transparency.
Yeah, I could always be transparent because I'm blunt, but to be vulnerable was different for me, especially being introverted. It was kind of just like I always had the thought process of, oh, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings or come off some type of way or do something that could affect that or, in that type of sense. So it was just a little bit harder for me to be more expressive in that.
Got you. And yeah, I think for me, I think, yeah, I mean, it's like, I feel like I would like to say that my family dynamic kind of shaped that, but it's like, because it's like, I feel like as kids, like when growing up, we're naturally like vulnerable. At least this is my viewpoint, and just from the things that I've learned, it's like as children, like children are innocent, and children are like, by nature, they're just very like open. Mm-hmm. So, and it's not until you kind of get exposed to different things that you then kind of either because of environmental circumstances, right, or by just choosing to be that way based off of what your experience is, that you become different from how you've been as like childlike or whatever, innocent. So I think for me, I feel like when I was younger, I was very like open and just like innocent and like vulnerable and just like, oh, like, and then when I realized that like, no, like not everybody like is receiving of that energy, mm-hmm, and like, at times me feeling like being too transparent or too vulnerable could be a detriment. Definitely. That caused me to be more kind of closed off, not be vulnerable, mm-hmm, still being open, because just by nature I'm naturally like an honest person and pretty like, like straightforward. But so it was like the openness was still there, like the honesty was still there, but like vulnerability, because I feel like to me vulnerability is allowing people to have the ability to be able to correct you, mm-hmm, or like even I guess in more harsher terms, like be able to kind of hurt you in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like to me it's like my defense mechanisms would always be up, right, whenever entering a new situation. Like nobody will be able to really see or see or see how I'm feeling about a certain situation. And I think, I mean, over time and like, with like, just developing, wanting to just be better as a human, I've realized like you have to grow. Right. You can't, you can't be that way all the time, because, like just be you. Like, just be you, and then, you know, whoever, you know, is supposed to, yeah. But I think that comes with maturity, too, because I think experiences, hurts, whatever, cause that, but then in time you just have to make a decision of, like, who are you going to be? Right. Like, you know, and not letting outside circumstances shape you or make you be this person.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So also, I had a question, because you guys say that you are advocates of reaching out to friends and constantly checking in on them to see, you know, what's going on. So how do you guys feel about, you know, the coping mechanisms for mental health struggles? Or what approaches do you guys use to reach out to your friends to see how they're doing and to follow up with, if they are struggling with something, how they can cope with these issues?
I would say the strategy that we use to reach out to our friends, it's simple. It's just like just either text or a phone call. Most of the time it's a phone call. Just either randomly or, you know, we set a time. And then we ask, you know, questions, intentional questions to make sure that these guys are doing okay. And even for ourselves, you know, it's not like, oh, how you doing? How's the work? How's the girl? You good? You good? But, all right. It ain't something like that. It's something like, man, you know, what's going on? What you've been struggling with?
Right.
What's some of your highlights? What's some of your lowlights? You know, what's some of the things that you're anxious about, you're angry about, you know? Well, why she keep tripping? I mean, just simple things, you know, to make sure that we're doing okay. Like you saying, these guys are in our friend group, so, you know, when I'm vulnerable, they're vulnerable, and vice versa. So it's one of the things where it's like you got to continue to do. If I'm going to the doctor, you know, you got to go to the doctor, get checked up. You can't just ignore it and expect to heal.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, for sure. I don't know, Hafeez, if you have anything you want to add.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah, I definitely second everything Chris shared.
Got you. Okay, well, I guess.
Oh, I have a follow-up to that.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. If a topic probably gets too difficult, or you feel like even reaching out with a phone call or a text message and you're not necessarily able to help, you know, any of your peers or your friends, is there a point where you would recommend therapy? Are you guys advocates for therapy or counseling or getting help in other ways, as far as maybe like, you know, church or prayer or other, you know, things?
For me, I definitely think that like we're definitely advocates for therapy. It's definitely necessary. Because like, you know, we're not experts. So I think for our approach is like we have to make sure that they're not alone. So it's kind of like, you know how you in church and they have the altar call, and some people, hey, I want to go up there, but, you know, I don't want to do it alone. So if we can be that helping hand and be that guy that's like, hey, man, it's okay to do it. You're not crazy. You're not, you know, in trouble. You're not sick. You know, it's something that is a normal part of life. And, you know, you want to be the healthiest person that you can be. And if this is stuff to do to get you there, then we need to do it together. You know, and I think that's one way that we're trying to do it. And obviously, yeah, if it's prayer, if it's just listening and letting them vent, if it's something where either they have to punch me in my arm 10 times, you know, we're all for any healthy release to get them back into the right state of mind.
Awesome. Definitely.
Got you. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I don't know if you guys have any questions for us, if you had any anything that was just kind of open the floor, if you guys had anything you wanted to ask us.
As women, how is it important for men to be vulnerable?
Very.
You said how important is it?
Yes.
It is very important for men.
And why is that?
because as women, we're more expressive and we're more like, well, also contingent upon, you know, the way that you express yourself and you communicate. But communication is key. And it's like for you to be open and vulnerable, it takes a certain tenacity. Like, I'm like, how can I put this into words? It's hard when you're talking to a wall or a brick, or you're trying to pull from just an empty source. If someone is not matching your energy or matching what it is that you're trying to do, it's hard. So it's just something that I guess men need to work on. But then I can't necessarily judge them per se, because, you know, it's been instilled in men from a very young age that, you know, just toughen up, don't talk about it, don't, you know, really express yourself and other things. So it's kind of like you guys need to, or men in general, need to be reprogrammed on how to talk. Like some men, it's easier for them to express and talk and be vulnerable. And then other men, it's just complete shutdown. It's like, yeah, I can't even tell you how my day's going. I'm done. I just want to play. What is it? What is the basketball game? K something.
2K.
Whatever the year is. Yeah. Let me live my best life and be great playing 2K. Mm-hmm. And that just makes me feel better, you know?
Yeah. I think, it's very important. I second what Nicole said. I think it's extremely important. And I think so just because, for women, you know, for men to be vulnerable with women, I think because it just creates, I think, healthy relationship. I think it allows women to feel safe, because I feel like just women, I feel like just from since the beginning of time, like years, decades, from starting since I don't know when, you know, women haven't felt safe just in like community, in society, period, right. Because it's just, you know, women are kind of the lowest on the totem pole as far as like, you know, I don't know what do you call that? It's just, you know, they're considered and like last, right? So it's a thing of like, I think for men to be vulnerable, it kind of creates, for men to be vulnerable with women, I feel like it kind of allows women to feel safe, feel protected, and feel like connectivity with men, because I think, you know, and even, well, the media plays a role in kind
of
a
sense of intimacy as well.
Right. And just feeling like, you know, you have, you know, even though we're different in so many different ways, we also can learn from each other, and we can grow from just being vulnerable. Like I think, like I said earlier, I think women, it's easier for women to be vulnerable than it is for men. I don't know if you guys feel differently about that, but I feel that it is, from just my experience and just what I've dealt with and seen. And like Nicole was saying, it's sometimes you kind of have to pull it out. You have to pull it out of men, when women will just straight up be like, no, I'm like, right. Yeah, you know, so I think it's a thing of just like, it creates a safety net. It allows women to feel supported, and it allows women to see another side of men, because I feel like a lot of times what we see from men, well, I think the media kind of does a good job at showing men like one narrative of men, or like a couple of different narratives of men just looking at women as sex objects, or looking at women as just, you know, something for them to be able to whether use, and not, it doesn't necessarily like have to be, you're right, it doesn't have to necessarily be in a sexual way. It could just be just, you know, take advantage of women because, you know. So I think it's just because it shows a different side from what, you know, what women's thoughts and perceptions may be when men are vulnerable. I feel like it's a healthy thing. It's a good thing. And I don't see it often or experience it often. So I know for sure for me, it's great when I see it and experience it. You're I'm shocked. Like, woo! Oh gosh. Right. So yeah.
Oh, also, I had a very well, it's not far left question, but as far as your channel moving forward in the near future, what are some things that you guys have going on with mental health? and, you know, being advocates within the community, whether it be, you know, nearby or nationwide or around the world? What are some things that you guys are doing that you can let, you know, the audience know about?
Yeah, so we have, like, our show is not a YouTube channel. It's more of an audio podcast. We recently started a YouTube channel recently. So most of our show is an audio podcast. But even greater than the audio podcast, our show is a worldwide community of individuals all around the world who are looking to grow. We have 5 core values of becoming, holistic health, kindness, togetherness, and thirst for knowledge. And we recently started a program on a website called Patreon.com. And Patreon is a place where people from all around the world can connect and build relationships, to share, to learn, to grow, to literally become the men and women that God created them to be. So on our Patreon.com/Roomates Podcast, that's what we're working on, of building healthy relationships, helping people connect, helping people build, and helping people to grow. So that's our main thing, because it's not just going to be a 1-hour conversation sitting in a chair that's going to change your life, but you need community, you need values, you need purpose, you need meaningful work, you need all types of things that contribute to your holistic health. And so our Patreon community is what we've created, and it's something that we're really excited about, and we're really excited about seeing how it's going to change the world.
Awesome. Definitely. And you said you've recently launched your Patreon account, correct?
Yeah, so we launched it on Monday.
Awesome. And what are some things that you guys have been seeing, you know, from the initiation?
The biggest thing is just like the conversations about society. I mean, so much of life is based upon perception, and the worst part about perception is when you've got the wrong perception, you understand society correctly. And I feel like what a lot of people do is what they know about life is what they've seen on TV and what they've seen or heard via hearsay. So they don't really know a lot about life. Like, people will say, well, men are like this. I'm like, well, how many men have you actually met? How many men have you actually talked to? How many men have you actually analyzed? Like, you don't know a lot. Or black women are like, why? I'm like, in reality, how many black men have you actually sat down and discussed with? So what happens for so many people is that they have such a limited view of society based upon what they see on social media, that they don't really understand the dynamics of humanity.
Right.
And so the dope part about the roommates community is that people from all around the world, different backgrounds, you learn that everyone has similar issues. Everybody's going through similar problems, and that is not just women who struggle with X's, or not just men who struggle with Y. You know, it's humanity that struggles with, you know, all of the above. And you learn a lot about people. You get to build with people, and you get to actually hear real human stories, and not just highlights on social media or just a worse about men on social media. And so I just think it's really important, and I think it's exciting seeing all of the men there, all the women there, all the people from, you know, different countries and cultures and ethnic backgrounds. So it's a super dope melting pot of different people, and I'm excited about seeing how we're going to learn to build and grow with one another.
Awesome.
That's dope. Dopeness.
Very excited for you guys, and very excited to see you guys continuously grow, and, you know, just see it just reach more people. We definitely see it changing lives, and I'll definitely pray on that. I don't know if you guys are Christian, but we definitely are. So I'll definitely pray for you guys. We're definitely encouraged by your continuous work and being passionate. Definitely.
Thank you so much. And yes, we do believe in Jesus of Nazareth.
Amen.
Better talk about it, sir. You better talk about it. Yeah. But thank you guys so much for just being a part of this.
Yes.
We really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules. Really just engaging and connecting with us. I know I appreciate it for sure.
I definitely appreciate it so much.
Yep. Yeah.
No problem. It was our pleasure. Glad that it went better the second time around. No hard feelings. We are one big loving family.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Was I speaking in Spanish? What's going on?
Yeah, it sounded like it broke up a little bit at the end. I was like, what? It was like, and I was like, what?
If I was Drake, y'all would have heard every word.
Lies.
But I got the gist of it.
No, I said, we appreciate it, and we're glad to be on a part of y'all platform, and we're one big happy family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much again. I hope you guys enjoy your night and rest up for your continuous work.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, safe travels, because I know y'all traveling a lot.
Yes, it's all good. Don't worry, we'll be all right.
All right, cool.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.